Welcome to part 2 of this advanced features section. I want to quickly show you the mistake that I made in the first part. I didn't have swashbuckling here equal to swashbuckling here, and that caused a problem. Make sure that this value of the attribute name is exactly the same as this name attribute here, and then that would clear up my issue. I mentioned that the last part was an easier way to do it, but there's a much more convenient way to do this. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a whole new book. And to do that, I'm going to highlight this node title first. And I'm going to put in a whole new title. I'm going to call it HARP Custom. Again, these need to be exactly the same. And I need to name this HARP Custom, as this is the name of the directory. And then I'm going to say that this is races from custom. And so now I'm going to bring up my AutoHARP database, HARP Fantasy, and we're going to create a whole new directory called HARP Custom. And in this database, I'm going to take my HARP Fantasy information, which is here, races from core rules. I'm going to do a save as, come up here to HARP Custom, save this as rules from custom, because remember that's what we called it before, and I'm going to save. Now obviously I don't need the information that we already have in the other database. So I'm going to delete dwarf, and I'm going to delete elf. And what I have now is I have just a single race in a file called races from custom. It has exactly the same structure as the other one, but it has only this one race. Now why is that so important? Well, it's important because now if I make any changes to my HARP application, I don't have to actually update. I don't have to worry too much about what happens with this races from core rules, because this is coming from a database that is out of my control. I can now worry about races from custom, and I can always insert that anytime I wish. So now I have the ability to take this HARP Custom and just take it out and maybe back it up over here. And when I get a whole new database updated, I can take HARP Custom and I can put it back in here. But I will have to go back to the races XML and I will have to add my book again. So you're going to probably want to also make a backup of this races XML file as well. But in this way you don't have to worry too much about making any changes or trying to find where your changes are. You have them all located here under a new book called HARP Custom. And so now if I come here back to races from core rules, I'm going to remove the orc. Oops. From my database. Make sure it's gone and save. And then I'm going to show you what has happened. Open up AutoHARP, do a new character sheet, HARP Fantasy, and orc is still in there. It's in there because I've included HARP Custom as a part of my database. If I came back to races XML here, I opened it up in Notepad and I got rid of it. Come back here, open up AutoHARP again, HARP Fantasy. It's gone. Adding a book is the most convenient way of adding custom rules because you can keep track of all of the rules that you put in, or all of the new database entries that you put in. You can use the same idea for adding in professions or any of these other tables because each of these base tables has another table in here that contains all of its information. You can use the similar ideas for adding in new combat tables, and of course for adding in information for combat, such as weapons and whatnot. I hope that's clear, and I hope that helps in understanding how you can add information to the database. If any further questions come up, I'll certainly make another tutorial to help people out with customizing the database. Again, it's important to have a knowledge of XML, but it's also important to understand how this database is structured. Again, imagine a room with a filing cabinet with drawers, and in the top drawer points to all of the information that you want to bring back in for AutoHARP. And that's it for the next tutorials. I will start going into the AutoHARP Combat Tracker.